everyone, and welcome to the RS Technical Solutions Tech Talk. I'm your host, Miguel Godino from RS Americas, and today we're going to have a discussion with Omron on their Sysmac platform and how it's enhancing the automation industry. So with our very special guest here from Omron joining us, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, my name is Paul Anderson. I'm the Director of Field Application Engineering for Omron Automation. Been with Omron for about 9 years in a variety of field app engineer roles.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Paul. Really excited to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yes. So to kick off, what is the Sysmac platform, and what is the purpose of this platform to your customers?
Yeah, so the Sysmac platform, it's really our overall platform that we have for all of our automation solutions.
Okay.
So the main elements that we talk about when we try and describe the platform is that it's integration of all our core technologies. Okay. So as Omron, we have sensors, we have vision systems, motion control, robotics, safety, and all of that really gets pulled under the umbrella of what Sysmac is. Right. And at the heartbeat of it is the controller. Yes. So that's going to be our NX NJ controller. So integration of core technologies. Then we also really emphasize the fact that it's a one software solution. Okay. So all of those core technologies, the controller itself, all of that is actually pulled together and programmed, configured. We troubleshoot all of that inside one software. And then a big part of it too is that it's one connection. So when you are doing all of that programming, troubleshooting, you make one connection into the controller, and that gives you access to everything.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes it easier, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you for explaining what the Sysmac platform is. A lot of great insight on why this was created. So now, I know Omron focuses on the concept of one machine, controller, network, and software, which you just mentioned, right? Let's dive a little bit more in depth on each one.
Sure.
So can you explain the one machine controller concept and its key features?
Yeah, so for us, the one machine controller, it's the heartbeat of everything that happens inside a Sysmac solution. Right. It ties together both the lower level machine devices, so again, all that stuff that I just mentioned, I/O motion, but it also goes up higher, up to the IoT type of connectivity. So it's really a bridge where it does all the control. It's a PLC. It's got an onboard motion controller as well, so we call that a machine controller. And then we've got a dual network strategy that we use. So it really goes down to that EtherCAT network to connect to all those control devices. We go Ethernet IP for machine-to-machine device control, and then we have a third port that we go up to IoT type communication, so we can go up to the cloud, we can go MQTT, any of those different types of standard protocols we make use of directly in the controller.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for explaining that concept to us. Is there any series of products that you'd like to focus on for our viewers that you would want to call out?
Sure. Yeah. When we launched Sysmac, we started with our NJ series, and really the NJ series, it was kind of a bridge. And why I call it a bridge is that we had all of our CJ platform initially. It's our CX1.
Right.
And we came out with the NJ because they actually used the same bus on the PLC. Okay. So somebody that had a CJ system, they could actually take an NJ and they could drop it in, and it gave them a migration path forward. Since then, though, we've launched into our NX controller, and that's really where we focus when we're looking at new applications. And honestly, when I look at an application, my default is to think the NX102. The NX102 is a really nice mid-range controller. We can go down to just a handful of axes. We can go up to 12 axes of control with that. Lots of I/O that we can add on the side. We can add up to 32 NX I/O cards right on the side of the unit itself. So it gives us a lot of flexibility. So if I'm talking to a customer and we're looking at a new application, I'm always thinking NX102 out of the gate, and then I kind of go up or down based off of whatever their particular needs are.
Right. Well, I get to know that Omron wants to have seamless integration and logic motion between the devices and make it easier for your customers. Now, going over the networking side, how does this tie into Sysmac, and how is it advantageous to your customers?
Yeah, so when the whole platform was launched, we took a step back and we said, what is the best way to solve the needs of what's going on a machine? Because there are a lot of different types of communication that happen on a machine, right? If we're looking at servos and we're looking at synchronizing I/O, that needs to happen extremely fast, and it needs to be deterministic. So when we look at networks that are fast and deterministic, that's EtherCAT. EtherCAT all day. Fastest network out there, most reliable, most vendors that are going to be able to provide different types of devices that are going to be friendly. So it's a global open network. We provide a whole slew of different components on EtherCAT. And if it's something we don't provide, there's going to be an EtherCAT solution that can run on that. But then there are other types of communications that they don't need quite that same speed and determinism. So take, for instance, an HMI. An HMI doesn't need to have quite that same precision of time. So we put that stuff out on an Ethernet IP network. So we use Ethernet IP because it's a standard TCP/IP communication. It's just back and forth comms. It's not a managed network, whereas EtherCAT is managed for determinism. That determinism is really going to give customers the performance when they need it. The Ethernet IP gives customers the flexibility where they need it. So that's really that whole approach that we took. We said, what's the type of communication you need for particular types of devices? Let's provide the network that gives the best style of communication for that.
Well, really amazing to hear how Omron is utilizing EtherCAT and Ethernet IP in their Sysmac platform to bridge all these devices together, right? So we heard the controller side and the network side. Now, what about the software side? Could you explain the Sysmac software?
Yeah, I mean, the software is the special sauce that that customers, that's where they really interact with, right?
Yes.
So we wanted to make a software that was easy to use and that was robust and did everything that they needed to do. So Sysmac Studio, it's an IEC 61131 based software. So we use ladder, we do inline structured text, and that's really going to help with just standard programming. If you know how to program a PLC, you can program inside Sysmac Studio, right? But then we also made it so that it's easy to use in terms of the configuration and setup. So there's different tools in terms of how we can configure the devices. It walks you through how to set up your networks, how to set up your CPU racks, and then you can mix and match programs between ladder, structured text, and then the best is what we call inline structured text, where you can actually have your ladder rungs and then you drop a section of structured text right inside the ladder. So it gives you flexibility. If you want to do math, you can do math in a structured text block. Not fun to do in ladder. But it's also great because it's backwards compatible. And this is a huge thing for us when we're talking to customers, is that you don't have to have a particular version of software to run with a particular version of firmware out on a PLC that's out in the field. If you are using the latest and greatest version of Sysmac Studio, you can connect to any of the Sysmac processors all the way back to 2011, any of those firmwares, right? So you only have to worry about managing one version of software that you're going to have on your PC, and then you can connect to everything. And it's a really nice feature from that. There's also a lot of features we've got now. Automation playback is kind of a nice tool that we've got now. And what automation playback does is, you know, when you look at plants today, there are a lot less people in the plants than there used to be. So when troubles arise, you don't always know what happened, right? And what automation playback does is we can put a camera on a machine, we can record that camera onto a network storage and synchronize that with actually recording the data tracing and the ladder and all of that. So after the fact, if an event occurs, you can set up whatever the triggers are that you want, and you can go back after, watch scan by scan through the PLC, synchronized with the video. So the best thing to not being, or next best thing to being there when the error occurs, is to actually watch it in the video, see it on the screen as you're going through, and it's great for troubleshooting.
Wow, that's really amazing to hear that the Omron Sysmac software could do all of that. It's really amazing to hear. Something I want to ask, as I've been asked personally this from our customers. But could you explain the licensing structure of Sysmac?
Yeah, the licensing structure is incredibly easy. There is one license that you get that gets you the full package. So that's the standard license. You can get it in seats of 1, 3, I think we go 5 and 10, and then you can also do larger licenses as well. And really, if it's a one-time fee for that license. So for instance, a customer that got Sysmac Studio in 2011, as part of the licensing is you get all of the upgrades. So somebody that paid for a license in 2011 has not paid an additional cent for holding that software since
Nice,
2011.
nice. Yeah, nice.
Right? So there's a whole lot of value in what that software is, and there's a whole lot of value in terms of how we do the licensing.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that
Yeah.
licensing structure.
Yeah.
I know I get asked that frequently from our customers, so it's nice to hear that. Hopefully that saves a few calls from me, from customers on how that works. So now I'm hearing many great features on the Sysmac platform, but could you let me know what type of customer would greatly benefit the most using this type of platform?
Yeah, I'm going to be slightly vague here intentionally,
Okay,
and the reason for that is because the platform is so large, it's incredibly scalable. So we have some customers that are building simple assembly machines doing one type of step in a process, and maybe it's a single axis with a few sensors and HMI, and we would put that on our NX1P processor.
Okay.
Just real light, real small, great for that type of application, but still all the performance and IoT connectivity that Sysmac offers. Then we can go all the way to the other end of the spectrum. Our NX7 CPU can go up to 256 axes of motion control at a scan time of 125 microseconds.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is, you're probably not actually going to be running 256 axes, right?
Right.
But what it can do is it gives you so much processing capability inside that CPU. So we do full line control with that. We have some customers in the automotive sector where they're basically running full lines of multiple robots, multiple machines, all off a single CPU from that. So we like to go simple applications all the way up to the most complex application that you can get. And the best thing is that it's the same software package that you are running inside that small application that you're going to be running up inside the biggest. Right. Another thing we've been working on too is actually creating more and more industry solutions. So for instance, for the logistics industry, we have a scan tunnel solution that we've put together. So that's going to take your PLC, it's going to have several different barcode readers, some of the motion control that can go along with that. And our engineering teams have actually put together code solutions and bills of materials to just make it easier for customers on these types of applications.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great example on how the Sysmac platform can make integration process run a little bit more smoother for our customers, right?
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps up all the questions I had for you, Paul.
Yeah.
But before we sign out, what would you recommend our viewers to learn more about the Omron solutions?
Yeah, I'd say go to automation.omron.com. That's our website that has more information. And really, anytime we can get someone from RS to go to a customer to talk through. I mean, we really want to be a solution provider and help out with problems. So we're not going to try and push product. What we really want to do is understand what are your needs, what are the things that you're trying to accomplish, and so that we can put together the solution from a Sysmac platform that's going to make the most sense for customers.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Paul. Any final thoughts?
No, just thanks. Thank you for the time today. Yes. It was great to be here, and I appreciate that.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today here. Hopefully our viewers learned a little bit more about Omron Sysmac platform and how to use it for their future projects, right? To our viewers, thank you for watching. Remember to check out RS and Omron for your future automation projects. And we'll catch you next time on the RS Technical Solutions Tech Talk. Thank you.